What is up, everybody, and welcome back to Altknots. Welcome to another day here in the yarn dungeon where I am all about showing the world that crochet is killer. Today I have a pattern for you on the Addi machine. We are going to be whipping up some quick and easy fingerless mitts. This also happens to be a pattern that is part of a collaboration between me and Mace of Skeins, the lovely Macy behind Mace of Skeins that creates absolutely gorgeous hand-dyed yarn. If you have not checked out this site yet, definitely do that. It's linked down below. The two colors that I chose for this pattern are Bloody Valentine and Shadow Cat, and I am absolutely obsessed with both of these. Like I said, this is a quick pattern, so let's go ahead and get into it. I'm gonna grab myself some coffee, you grab some as well, gather up our materials, and let's make these fingerless mitts. First off, go ahead and grab your clamps and attach it onto the table. Next, we're going to need some waste yarn here, so make sure that the color is totally different than the other two colors that you're using. Starting with the first black tooth right here, we're going to go ahead and leave about 2 to 3 inches in the middle there, and we're going to go in front of this tooth, then behind the next tooth. And continue to do that all the way around. Front, behind, in front, behind. And this is how we're going to cast on our waste yarn. When you've made it all the way around, go ahead and open up this yarn guide. Lay the yarn inside, close it up. Starting off slowly, we're going to go ahead and crank on 5 total rows of waste yarn. Go ahead and open up the yarn guide and put the rest of the waste yarn in the middle there, making sure that the waste yarn goes in front of the first black tooth right here. Go ahead and grab color A, then leaving about 6 inches there, go right in front of that first black tooth once again and put it in the yarn guide. Close that up, then slowly start to crank, make sure that that yarn gets caught there in the front. Then crank out 5 rows in total for the border. Grab a pair of scissors here, open up this yarn guide once again, make sure that the yarn goes in front of the black tooth, so the very first one again. Leave about 3 inches there and cut off that working yarn. And now we're going to switch over to color B. Lay the yarn to the right hand side of the first black tooth here, and we're going to go ahead and place that in the yarn guide. Leave about 2 to 3 inches again, toss that in the middle, close up the yarn guide, and slowly go over it. Then continue to crank for rows 6 through 35. This is going to create the body portion of the mitten. Again, grab your scissors here, open the yarn guide, make sure that it goes in front of this very first black tooth, cut about 2 to 3 inches there. Now we're going to switch back over to color A. Lay that on the right hand side of the first black tooth, pop it in the yarn guide, close that up. Then we're going to do another 5 rows for the other border. You can go ahead and tie these. Make sure that you don't over tighten it though, because it definitely can distort the stitch a little bit here. Go ahead and tie it so it stays in place there. Scissors again, we're going to cut this yarn. Grabbing the waste yarn once again, we're going to put that right into the yarn guide. And we're going to crank out 5 final rows. And just crank all the way around until your project falls off of the Addi machine. Repeat this whole process one more time in order to make the other mitten. Grab a 5mm crochet hook here in order to close up both of these ends. Before we close it up though, make sure where you change colors, make sure you have a little knot there. You don't have to weave it in because it's going to get trapped in between these 2 pieces of fabric and it's going to get folded over on itself. So don't even have to worry about that. Line up all of the stitches so each of them have a partner. Then we're going to simply do a slip stitch. So we're going to go through both of these, yarn over, pull the yarn through. And that's what we're going to do all the way across. Going into that stitch, finding its partner, yarn over, and pull it through. Once we get to the last one, go ahead and yarn over and pull that yarn all the way through, creating a little knot. Then work on pulling this waste yarn off. Once you have this one done, that's how it should look, nice and clean. Go ahead and do that to the other 3 ends now. Now we're going to seam up the mitten and create the thumb hole here. So we're going to need 2 pieces of the black yarn and 1 more strand, about twice the length of your mitten here, of the main color. Attach the yarn onto a yarn needle, and then we're going to attach this onto the bottom portion of the mitten here. So first you're going to want to line everything up and make sure that you find one row and stay in that row. If you end up losing track of the row that you're in there, it's going to twist the mitten around, so just pay attention to what row that you're actually working in. And in order to close it up, I'm just going to use the mattress stitch. Once I get to the end of this color, I'm just going to go ahead and pull on this, tighten everything up, not too tight. Once again, we don't want this to pucker here, but tighten it up and then create a knot. Since we're going to be all done with this one here, and just run it through there. That was a little too tight. There we go, loosen that up again. And since I'm all done with this, I'm just going to go ahead and put it right into here. Since it's a double layer, I really honestly don't need to weave it in, so I'm just going to go like that and cut that yarn. And that bottom part is all done. So now I'm going to switch over to this color. Then I'm just going to work the mattress stitch until I get to the area that I'm going to create a thumb hole here. So as you're working all the way down, as it starts to get a little bit closer, go ahead and try on your mitten here to see where you're going to want your thumb hole. In order to make the thumb hole, we're going to count down from this border 12 stitches. And then we're going to go underneath 6 of them. And pull that yarn through. So those 6 stitches that we went underneath, we're going to skip those on the other side in order to create the opening for the thumb. Then just continue on with the mattress stitch for the last 6 stitches. Go ahead and pull this yarn. Once again, make sure everything is nice and tight. And then create another knot to secure the yarn. Run the yarn on the inside, cut that working yarn, and switch over to the black yarn. Tie the end off here and then just weave that yarn right in between the 2 pieces of fabric again. Then finish up by weaving in any extra ends here that you end up finding.
Alright ghouls, I hope that you enjoyed this fingerless mitt pattern here. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and consider hitting that notification bell and joining the Ghoul Squad as well. But that is all I have for you ghouls today, so have a fantastically spooky day and I will see you in my next video.